Welcome back for another deep dive. You guys know how much we love exploring the bleeding edge of AI, and today we're diving into a paper that's got everyone buzzing, something called OmniCreator.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
So for our listeners who may have missed the memo, set the stage for us. What is OmniCreator and why is it such a game changer?
Okay, so imagine this. You're editing a video, right?
Okay.
But instead of messing around with timelines and keyframes, you just describe what you want to change, like you're talking to a friend, and the AI just does it.
Wait, really? Just like that?
Yeah, that's the idea behind OmniCreator. It's this self-supervised framework that can both generate and edit videos, all from text prompts. Like change the background, make someone disappear, even control the weather just with words.
Okay, hold on. I think I need to back up a bit. We already have tons of video editing software out there, so what makes OmniCreator so different?
I think the big leap here is that it actually understands the meaning of what's happening in the video. It's not just recognizing objects or faces. It's grasping the relationships between different elements, like how a sunset relates to the ocean, or how a person's movement conveys emotion.
So it's not just seeing, it's understanding.
Exactly. And that's all thanks to something called semantic correspondence.
Okay, break that down for me. What is semantic correspondence?
So traditional video editing methods often rely on things like depth maps or motion vectors to understand the scene. They need this extra data to figure out what's going on. But OmniCreator, it skips all that.
Interesting.
It learns directly from the relationship between your text descriptions and the actual video content itself. It's like it's reading the script of the video and understanding how each element plays a role in the story.
So if I were to describe a scene as a bustling city street with people rushing by, OmniCreator would understand what each of those elements means, the busyness, the movement, the city environment, and how they all fit together.
You got it. It's using these powerful AI tools called CLIP encoders that have been trained on massive amounts of data. Think of them like visual dictionaries that connect images to their text descriptions.
Wow. But video isn't static. It's all about movement and change over time. How does OmniCreator handle that?
Well, they added a special adapter on top of those CLIP
So
encoders.
the adapter.
Yeah, it basically helps OmniCreator understand the temporal, like the time-based aspects of the DAO. So it's not just recognizing images, it's grasping how they change and interact over time.
It's almost like it's watching the video and making sense of it the way a human would.
Yeah, in a way, the crazy thing is how versatile this makes OmniCreator. The research paper highlights 4 main types of edits it can do. Foreground, background, composite, and overall style edits.
Wow, okay. 4 major editing types. This is getting good.
Right. And within those types, they outline 8 specific scenarios of what they call universal editing. It's pretty mind-blowing what this thing can do.
8 scenarios. All right, you've got me hooked. Let's hear them.
Okay, so first up is background editing, which I think is one of the most impressive. Let's say you have a video of someone giving a presentation,
Yeah.
but the background is like totally distracting. Maybe it's messy or just doesn't fit the vibe.
Happens all the time.
Right. With OmniCreator, you could simply tell us something like, replace the background with a professional office setting, and boom, done.
No green screens, no masking.
Nope, the AI just seamlessly integrates that new background right into the video.
That's incredible. Imagine how much time and effort that would save.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
total game changer, especially for independent creators who might not have access to fancy studio.
Editing magic.
Well, you can also change how things look in the foreground.
Like what?
Like, let's say you need your subject to be wearing a different outfit. You just describe it, and OmniCreator will make the change.
Wait, hold on. So I could literally tell it, give her a blue dress instead of that red shirt, and it would actually do it.
Yep. And it wouldn't look like some cheesy Photoshop job either. The edits are super realistic and blend in naturally.
That's wild. Okay, what else can this thing do?
How about controlling motion and poses? So let's say you have footage of someone walking, but you want them to be running instead.
Okay.
A simple text prompt can achieve that.
I can see how this could be revolutionary for filmmakers, animators, all sorts of creative fields.
Oh, totally. And we're just getting started. Another big one is the ability to add or remove objects entirely.
Now we're talking. Give me an example.
I imagine you're shooting a beautiful nature scene, right?
Okay, got it.
And there's this ugly power line running right through the middle of your shot.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. But with OmniCreator, you can make it vanish. Just like that.
No more spending hours in post-production trying to edit that out.
Exactly. And it's not just about removing things. You can also add objects.
So if I wanted to add like a flock of birds flying across the sky,
You could do that. Or maybe replace that red apple in a bowl of fruit with a green one.
so it can swap objects too. This is seriously starting to feel like magic.
I know, right? But wait, there's more. How about controlling the weather in your video?
Okay, now you're just showing off.
But seriously, imagine you have footage of a sunny day, but you want to create a more dramatic, overcast scene.
Yeah.
OmniCreator can adjust the lighting, add rain, even make clouds roll in. It can totally transform the mood.
So I could be filming on a perfectly clear day and still make it look like a storm is brewing.
Exactly. And there are two more scenarios on the list. We've got time shifting and background modification.
Okay, time shifting. Does that mean I can change the time of a day in the video?
You got it. Turn a daytime shot into a sunset or make it look like night. No need for complicated lighting setups.
That's insane. This is like having ultimate control over reality. What's the last one? Background modification.
So with this, you can completely replace the entire background of a scene.
Like, I could take a video shot in a busy city and make it look like it's in a peaceful forest.
Exactly. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
My mind is officially blown. This isn't just editing, it's like having complete creative control over the visual narrative.
And the crazy thing is, it all comes back to that core idea we talked about, semantic correspondence. Because OmniCreator understands the meaning behind the visuals, it can make these complex changes in a way that feels completely natural and seamless. It's really impressive.
So we've talked about all this incredible editing power, but you mentioned that OmniCreator can also generate new videos from scratch, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's a whole other layer of mind-blowing we're about to get into.
Okay, I am so ready for this.
Right, so imagine this. Right, so remember how we talked about all those mind-blowing things OmniCreator can do? Well, the researchers wanted to prove it wasn't just hype, you know? They had to show that this thing could actually deliver.
Right, because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Exactly. So they came up with this thing called OmniBench 99.
OmniBench 99. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. What is it exactly?
Think of it like an obstacle course, but for AI video editing tools.
Interesting analogy.
It's a benchmark, right? Specifically designed to put these different models through their paces and see what they can really do.
So it's like a standardized test for AI video editors.
Yeah, exactly. It's got 99 diverse videos, and each video comes with prompts for all those crazy editing scenarios we were talking about earlier.
Like changing backgrounds, making objects disappear, all that stuff.
Yeah, all of it. Background changes, appearance modifications, object removals, you name it. OmniBench 99 throws it all at these AIs to see how they handle it.
I see. So it's not just about whether an AI can do these things in theory, it's about how well it can actually do them in practice.
Exactly. And having a standardized benchmark like this is super important for the field,
Why is that?
Because before OmniBench 99, there really wasn't a reliable way to compare different approaches to AI video editing. It was like trying to compare apples and oranges.
Right. You need a common yardstick to measure everyone against.
Precisely. OmniBench 99 levels the playing field and lets researchers track the progress of the entire field.
So how did OmniCreator do on this obstacle course? Did it pass the test?
Oh, it passed with flying colors. The results were seriously impressive.
Tell me more.
Okay, so OmniCreator consistently outperformed other existing video editing methods, both in terms of quality and accuracy. The edits were cleaner, more realistic, just overall better.
Wow, that's great to hear. But, sometimes those metrics don't tell the whole story. Did real people actually like the results?
That's a great point, and the researchers thought so too. So they didn't just stop at the numbers. They actually did user studies, where they had real people compare the edits and outputs from different models.
Oh, interesting. What did they find? Were people actually impressed with OmniCreator?
People loved it. They consistently preferred the edits and the generated content that came from OmniCreator over the other models. They said it was more realistic, more creative, just more satisfying overall.
That's a pretty solid endorsement coming from actual humans.
Right. So you've got the numbers backing it up, and you've got real people saying, yeah, this is the good stuff. It's a pretty strong case for OmniCreator.
It definitely sounds like it. So we've talked about what OmniCreator can do, and we've seen how it stacks up against the competition. But I'm still a little fuzzy on how it actually learns to do all this incredible stuff. You mentioned self-supervised learning earlier. Can you unpack that a bit for me?
Absolutely. And honestly, this is where the real magic happens. It's what makes OmniCreator so different from traditional AI models.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the secret sauce here?
So think about how we usually train AI, especially in video editing. You need tons and tons of labeled data. It's like teaching a kid by constantly pointing at things and saying, this is a cat, this is a tree, this is a car.
Yeah, it's a very tedious manual process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can be super limiting, but OmniCreator, it throws that whole approach out the window.
Really? So how does it learn?
Instead of relying on all those labels, it learns by essentially reconstructing the original video based on the text description you give it.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm following. Can you give me an example?
Sure, imagine you're giving a kid a puzzle, right? But instead of showing them the finished picture, you just describe it to them. You say, okay, there's a blue sky, a green field, a red barn, and a brown cow. And the kid has to figure out how to put the pieces together based on your description.
So it's learning by solving a puzzle. That's a pretty neat way to think about it.
Right. And because it's not relying on those pre-labeled data sets, it can learn from a much wider range of sources. It's like having a kid who can learn from any book you throw at them, not just the ones with pictures and labels.
That makes sense. But doesn't that also make the learning process more complex if it has to figure everything out from scratch every time?
That's where the delta prompt thing comes in. Remember we touched on that earlier?
Vaguely. Remind me what that is again.
So instead of having to rewrite the entire description every time you want to make a change, OmniCreator focuses on just the changes themselves. It's like saying, okay, keep everything the same in this video, but make the car blue instead of red.
So it doesn't have to reprocess the entire scene every time. It just focuses on the specific edits I want to make.
You got it. It's a much more efficient way of learning and editing, and it's a big part of what makes OmniCreator so fast and responsive.
This is seriously impressive stuff. We've gone from basic video editing to AI that can understand the meaning of a scene, learn by reconstructing videos, and make targeted edits based on simple text commands. It's mind-blowing.
And the crazy thing is, we're just scratching the surface here. We haven't even talked about the bigger implications of all this.
Okay, now you've got me really intrigued. What are some of the bigger implications we should be thinking about?
Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some of those broader questions. We'll talk about what this means for the future of content creation, how it might impact different industries, and all the exciting possibilities that are still to come.
Okay, so we've gone deep into the technical nuts and bolts of OmniCreator, explored its capabilities, and seen how it stacks up against the competition. But now I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the bigger picture. What are your biggest takeaways from all this research? What's really got you thinking?
Honestly, what fascinates me the most is how OmniCreator is kind of blurring the lines between editing and generation.
Okay, I see what you mean. Traditionally, those have been seen as separate processes, right? You either edit existing footage or you create something from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. But with OmniCreator, it's like those two things are merging into this entirely new way of working with video.
So it's not just about making changes to an existing video anymore. It's about using those edits to actually create something completely new.
Exactly. Imagine you start with a basic video clip, right? Maybe something pretty simple.
Okay, got it.
And then through a series of text prompts, you start shaping it, molding it, adding elements, changing styles, and you end up with something totally unique that didn't exist before.
That's a really cool way to think about it. It's like you're sculpting, but with video as your medium.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It's like the video itself becomes clay in the hands of the AI, and the user's imagination is the guiding force.
That opens up some pretty wild creative possibilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Think about personalized educational videos that adapt to the student's learning style.
That would be amazing.
Or imagine interactive documentaries where viewers can actually influence the narrative through text prompts.
Whoa, like choose your own adventure, but for documentaries. That would be so cool.
Right, and we could see a huge surge in user-generated content, with people who might not have any formal training in filmmaking suddenly able to create their own stories and share their visions with the world.
It's like democratizing video creation in a way we've never seen before.
Exactly. But of course, with all this creative power comes a whole new set of challenges.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, what happens when the lines between reality and AI-generated content become so blurred that it's hard to tell them apart?
That's a huge issue, and it's something we're already starting to grapple with. Critical thinking becomes even more important in a world where you can't always take what you see at face value.
It's like we're constantly going to have to be questioning the sources of information and evaluating the credibility of the visuals we encounter.
Right, and it's not just about protecting ourselves from misinformation. It's about being informed and engaged citizens in a world where the visual landscape is changing so rapidly.
And what about the legal implications of all this? If AI can generate and edit content this easily, what does that mean for copyright and intellectual property? It seems like we're entering uncharted territory.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another area where legal experts and policymakers are going to have to catch up. We need new frameworks and guidelines to navigate this new reality.
It's a lot to think about, but it's also incredibly exciting. We're witnessing a paradigm shift in how we create and consume visual content.
It really does feel like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but it's definitely full of potential.
Well, I have to say, this has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive. Thanks for walking us through all of this.
It's been my pleasure.
We've covered so much ground today, from the technical details to the creative possibilities and even some of those bigger societal implications. It's clear that OmniCreator is a major leap forward, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning of the story.
I think you're right. The field of AI video generation is moving so fast, and it's only going to get more exciting from here.
Well, on that note, a huge thank you to everyone for tuning into this deep dive. We'll be keeping a close eye on this space and bringing you all the latest developments. Until next time, stay curious.